Good morning. I'm Becca Flaherty, and I'm delighted to be serving as your worship associate this morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Savannah. Our minister, the Reverend Lisa Day, is on summer break from the pulpit until August 4th. A variety of guest speakers will be featured in our services through the end of July. If you are looking for a new faith community, we encourage you to visit several times to get a feel for our worship style and our approach to matters of faith and religion. We hope you'll come back in August when you can hear from Reverend Day. Our choir also takes a summer break. Music in July and August services will be provided by David at the piano, along with a variety of guest soloists. Next week, we welcome Stacy Lazarus as our musical guest, so we hope you will show up for him. Our speaker this morning is Jonathan Rabb. Jonathan is a novelist and teacher. His books have been translated into more than 15 languages. In a previous life, he originated the role of Fermat in the off-Broadway production of Fermat's Last Tango and soloed with the New York Pops at Carnegie Hall. I have had the pleasure of seeing Mr. Rabb perform in The Mikado years ago at Asbury. He's fantastic. Oh, you can attest to this too, Kurt. Okay. He has taught at NYU, Columbia, and is currently a professor of writing at SCAD. We are so happy to have you with us this morning. Here at the UU Church of Savannah, we are working to build a diverse, multicultural, and beloved community. We celebrate the presence and participation of LGBTQIA+ and straight people of all races, genders, abilities, and ethnic and national origins. We warmly welcome you on YouTube and on site, whoever you know yourself to be and wherever you are on your journey. If you're visiting with us this morning and you would like to introduce yourself, please rise or raise your hand, and one of our ushers will bring a microphone. Are there any visitors this morning? All right. Oh, I see a tentative hand in the back.
Good morning. I'm Gita. I'm Lydia's mother, and she really wanted me to introduce myself. So good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Gita and Lydia. All right. We're glad you're here. Please join us in Ron Hall for refreshments following the service. You'll find Ron Hall in the next building by following the crowd through this door or the main doors and around the sidewalk. Or ask the ushers or anyone else. We're all very helpful. If you are seeking a new church home, we encourage you, we already said that. I don't know why that's still here. After the children's story and after the offering, we sing short responses. Those are printed in your order of service. There are 2 cards in the pew back in front of you to help us gather information for the good of our community. You can use the Rainbow Chalice card to sign up for our newsletter and to receive a welcome letter from our minister. Now is a good time to fill out the card with the red heart and chalice to share a joy or a sorrow. I always forget to fill that out, and then it's too late by the time joys and sorrows come around. So go ahead and fill that out now. You can put both of those cards in the collection plate during offertory. Church announcements are emailed to members and friends on Tuesdays and Fridays. Check your email for complete details about the following. The Savannah Band Books Club in Ron Hall will meet this Thursday, July 11th at 3:30. Native Plants Garden needs continuous watering. It's so beautiful out here on the side. The plants need to be watered once each weekend, for instance, on a Sunday afternoon, and once during the week. Please sign up in the fellowship hall. We also have summer meditation. From now until the end of July, Megan will be holding her meditation sessions on Tuesday nights at 6:00 p.m. And now I would like to invite Chase and Josh Davis to light our chalice. With the lighting of our chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, we enter into sacred time. This chalice burns for those who seek and defend the right to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, so that each person may live according to their conscience in a democratically elected society. This chalice burns for the defenders of freedom, working against those who would impose their own religious beliefs on others through intimidation or legislation. May we tend this fire always, ever vigilant and courageous in the struggle for freedom and justice for all. Come, sit by our fire, and let us share stories. Let me hear your tales of far-off lands, wanderer, and I will tell you of my travels. Share your experience of the holy with me, worshiper, and I will tell you of that which I find divine. Come and stay, lover of leaving, for ours is no caravan of despair, but of hope. We would hear your stories of grief and sorrow as readily as those of joy and laughter, for there is a time and a place and a hearing for all the stories of this world. Stories are the breath and word of the Spirit of life, that power that we name love. Come, for our fire is warm, and we have seats for all. Come, again and yet again. Come speak to me of what fills your heart, what engages your mind, what resides in your soul. Come, let us worship together. Our first hymn is number 1010 in your teal hymnal. We give thanks.
And we'll sing twice. Stand as you are able.
And now I would like to invite the children in the congregation and anyone else who would like to see the pictures to come forward for our story. Come on up, Lydia, you can come. I'll let you know since you're visiting today, the children usually go upstairs to Ari. Is that okay with you? Okay, wonderful. We can help you find her when service is finished. This is one of my very favorite books. It's called Morris the Moose. Some of you might know this book. It's been around a while. All right. Morris the Moose by B. Wiseman. One day, Morris the Moose saw a cow. "You are a funny-looking moose," he said. "I am a cow. I am not a moose," said the cow. "You have 4 legs and a tail and things on your head," said Morris. "You are a moose." "But I say moo," said the cow. "I can say moo too," said Morris. The cow said, "I give milk to people." "So you are a moose who gives milk to people," said Morris. "But my mother is a cow," said the cow. "You are a moose," said Morris. "So your mother must be a moose too." "What can I tell you?" the cow said. "You can tell me you are a moose," said Morris. "No," cried the cow, "I am not a moose. Ask him. He will tell you what I am." See the little deer? He's about to get roped into this. "What is she?" Morris asked the deer. The deer said, "She has 4 legs and a tail and things on her head. She is a deer like me." "She is a moose like me," Morris yelled. You are not a moose. You are a deer too." The deer laughed. "I am a moose," cried Morris. "You are a deer," shouted the deer. "What can I tell you?" asked Morris. "You can tell me you are a deer," said the deer. "Let's ask somebody else," said the cow. "Okay, moose," said Morris the moose. "Okay, deer," said the deer. They walked until they found a horse. "Hello, you horses," said the horse. "What are those funny things on your heads?" "Oh dear," the cow sighed. "Let's ask somebody else. But first, let's get a drink." Morris, the cow, and the deer drank from a cool blue stream. Morris looked at himself in the water and smiled. "You two do not look at all like me," he said. "You cannot be moose." "You mean you are not deer," said the deer. "You don't look at all like me." "See," said the cow, "I am not a moose or a deer. I am a cow. You made a mistake." "I did not," said Morris. "I made a moo-steak." And now this is your story to ponder and share. Our gifts, whether large or small, come together to create a powerful force for good. They enable us to reach out to those in need, to advocate for justice, and to build a community rooted in love and compassion. To donate via debit or credit card, please use the QR code on the back of the order of service, or go to www.uusavannah.org and click the donate button. Mailed checks are also welcome. Thank you for your generosity. Together we build a better world. The gifts of this congregation will now be most gratefully received. We have one joy that was shared with us today from Evelina. Gratitude and thanks for a wonderful 50th birthday celebrated with family and friends. Please enjoy leftover cake after today's service. Thank you, Evelina. Happy birthday. I also wanted to share a joy of seeing Kathy back with us today. Welcome back. So good to see your face. Yeah. Let us hold all our joys and sorrows, spoken and unspoken, in our hearts as we join together in the responsive reading found in your order of service. Sorrow is everywhere. Joy is reborn. As we mourn together, so we celebrate together and offer thanks that we are not alone. So may it be now and in all the days to come. This meditation, Compassionately Writing Your Story, was written by Sarah Oben. I invite you to settle more comfortably in your seats. Notice your breath. Notice your body. Allow yourself to settle. Notice your frequency, your energy, your cultivated inner environment, this place from which your life flows. Dear one, how have you been generating your life today? If we are the sole, uncontested author of our life story, how have you been writing yours today? Breathe in. Notice any emotions that arise within you. Exhale. I invite you to allow those emotions to flow like a passing river. Whatever they are, let them wash over you and let their wisdom soak into your being. This is the time and space for compassion, for healing, self-love, honesty, forgiveness, love. Pure, unwavering love for the fact that you are human and you are deserving. Take a deep breath in. Slowly exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Continue to breathe. What story have you been writing today? Have you been writing a story of fear? Of love? Are you, as the main character of your story, in a tragedy of sadness and despair, on your way through life as it always has been? Or are you, while facing moments of sadness or despair, on your journey of love, of unfolding beauty? Is your story a hopeless one? Or is your story an unfolding journey of love? So much in life we unconsciously identify with the fear within us. We reject our darkness, yet in our turning away from our difficult emotions, we unknowingly tie ourselves in a bond with that which we are not willing to face. We begin to believe that it is who we are. We are not taught how to hold our fears with compassion. We are not shown how to love the entirety of our human experience, how to hold it with loving awareness, compassion, and grace. Even our fears, even our darkness, O dear one, in the light of love, all darkness is illuminated like a candle, transforming a dark room. Love holds space for all of you and all of your experience. If you wonder, dear one, if you too are this love, yes, you are. For you see, dear one, we are conditioned to believe that we are separate, that we live in a world of one versus another, that if one wins, another must lose. We are taught to hold a belief of separation rather than oneness, yet we are one. Living a journey of love does not mean that you won't face your own beliefs of separation, of fear. It means, in fact, you will face them. Living a journey of love means that you will notice and see your own thoughts and beliefs of fear and separation in yourself, in your own mind and conversation. This is the sacred ground where your pen meets the page. For when you see and face your own darkness and your own fear, you may feel the familiar impulse to scorn and reject and pull away, tempting you to remain trapped in its grasp. But I invite you to notice another hand reaching out to you, the light of love. If, dear one, you are willing, I invite you to turn your heart towards its warmth. It is an invitation to face your fears with compassion. It is an invitation to melt away their hold on you through the warm and healing power of love. For you see, dear one, underneath it all, we are all innocently born and live and breathe. We all face hurt, and we all pick up that which is not ours. It is all right to let it go. Can you compassionately hold your own journey of love? Can you love your fears, love your darkness as well as your light? And in your loving, feel your tension release? All that is left is love. What does your journey feel like when love is the author of your story, the writer with the pen on the page? Our first reading is a poem by Arthur O'Shaughnessy entitled Ode. We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams, wandering by lone sea breakers and sitting by desolate streams. World losers and world forsakers, on whom the pale moon gleams. Yet we are the movers and shakers of the world forever, it seems. Our second reading is a poem by Jessie Bell Rittenhouse titled Vision. I came to the mountains for beauty, and I find here the toiling folk on sparse little farms in the valleys, wearing their days like a yoke. White clouds fill the valleys at morning. They are round like great billows at sea and roll themselves up to the hilltops, still round as great billows can be. The mists fill the valleys at evening. They are blue as the smoke in the fall and spread all the hills with a tenuous scarf that touches the hills not at all. These lone folk have looked on them daily, yet I see in their faces no light. Oh, how can I show them the mountains that are round them by day and by night? Will you please turn in your hymnals to number 65, The Sweet June Days.
Good morning. It's a delight to be here. I have never been to a Unitarian service before, and it is a breath of fresh air. It really is. I also have to say, I think you were channeling me as a writer. Everything today seems to have to do with pens and writing and telling stories to children, so I feel very much at home. Thank you. Also, I will always give a nod. That poem by Arthur Shaughnessy, "We Are the Music Makers," is one of my favorite lines from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So whenever that can be invoked, it's great. I do want to thank my friend and colleague Tish Hamilton for inviting me to speak about such a narrow and focused topic such as fostering creativity. We're going to be here for a while, folks. No, I promise I will keep my comments brief. But when I was thinking about the topic, I realized how much I live in a bubble of creativity. I sit at home and I write my novels, then I get up and I go and teach at SCAD, which is the University of Creative Careers, where we all walk and drink and breathe creativity all day. And then I come home and write some more. But I realized, of course, that I spend most of my life outside of that bubble with my family, my friends. And whenever I begin to talk about creativity, I always hear a little measure of hesitation from those friends who haven't chosen the same path that I have. And it's not that they don't appreciate creativity. It's not that they can't express it and enjoy it, but they blanch a little as if to say, that's not the way I engage with the world, that kind of creativity. And I'm always a little perplexed by that, because for me, the creativity that I'm going to talk about today is, I think, almost instinctive. It is inherent to us, and I might dare even say it is the very thing that defines our humanity. And that what I'm talking about has been so prevalent in this service today. That instinct that we live by and that makes us human is, in fact, the instinct to tell stories. Now, there have been a number of theologians, philosophers, historians, anthropologists who have always asked, what is it that makes us human? And I thought, oh gosh, I'm going broad with fostering creativity. You can't speak about what makes us human, but I'm going to, because I'm in the right building to do that. And I think over time there have been three central things that people have talked about that separate us from the animals, and that's the way they always phrase it. The first is that we have language, that we can communicate, that we can codify the way that we bring meaning to our interaction. And I think that is a powerful thing. The second has always been that we can create a system of justice, that we know how to distinguish right from wrong, that we can create a spectrum of moral behavior, and so that we know how to behave ethically and engage with others ethically. And the last, and probably my favorite, which I'll be coming back to later, is that we can set aside our own needs and act with empathy towards others. These are the things the great theologians and philosophers have come up with to say, this is what makes us human, and this is what separates us from the animals. And I know that they are all wrong because I have a 12-year-old mini golden doodle at home. And whenever she needs to go out at 2 a.m, she has no problem communicating with meaning that she needs to go out. When we are on our walks together and she chooses to try and eat things that she is not meant to eat, and we have to have a moment together, I can see that she knows right from wrong. In fact, I can even see shame in her eyes sometimes. And of course, when I have a rough day and I come home and I sit down on the couch, she jumps up on the couch and she nuzzles in next to me and she sets aside her own needs, going out to play, maybe having something to eat, and just sits with me, wondering how I'm doing. If that isn't a level of empathy, I don't know what is. And as I said, for me, the thing that defines us as human beings, that is an instinct for us, and this is a little self-serving given what I do, is our need to tell stories. It is, in fact, the way that we communicate with each other, the way we engage, the way we create those moral directives, the way we express empathy. Think, when you come home at night and you sit around the dinner table or you go out with friends, do you just give them a litany of things you did that day or tell them about your schedule? Oh no, you tell them stories. You create characters and narratives and arcs, and you give them conflict and tension and maybe a little resolution. And if you are very, very lucky, you create a little resonance at the end so that they want to engage with you through their stories. Anybody who says that they blanch at creativity is forgetting that central instinct that makes us human. Look at what we're doing here today. I happen to do it on a Saturday every week. You do it on a Sunday. We come and hear stories. Now, they're not always about moose or mooses. I don't know what it would be. But in I'm at Mikveh Israel, we tell the same stories over and over again, Bible stories from the Hebrew Bible. Is it that we've all somehow forgotten what those stories are about? Have we forgotten the message or the lesson? Are we that unengaged in the storytelling? No. We all know exactly what the stories are and the message. We simply have to be reminded once a week of our own humanity. And our own humanity is in the telling of stories. And if you need absolute proof for why storytelling is what makes us human, I draw your attention to that little moment and that moose. We teach our children through story. We teach from a very early age fairy tales and fables. That's how we teach them. And I would argue every single fairy tale has the exact same message. It has the exact same moral at the end. And as a professor, I'm now going to open it up for participation. Can anybody tell me what they think that one message, that one moral of every single fairy tale is? Is there any courage in the congregation today? No. Good overcomes evil. That is a great one. No. Any other? I will shoot you down. Yes. Think before, wouldn't that be lovely? No, that's not what it is. Anyone else? They all lived happily ever after. Wouldn't that be nice? I'd like to see Cinderella about 10 months after that marriage. I'm not sure everybody lives happily ever after. No, I actually think the central message of every single fairy tale is don't go outside. Hansel and Gretel, please, don't go outside. Rapunzel, we're going to build you a tower. Do not go outside. Little Red Riding Hood, please do not go outside. But if I tell my son, who actually turned 20 yesterday with his twin sister, if I would have told him when he was 4-year-old, hey, buddy, Ben, don't go outside, where would he have been 5 minutes later? He would have been outside. And so we teach through story simply because there are two reasons. One, so that the child can learn to feel that sense of empathy with another, to live and experience. But the other equally important reason that we teach through story is because, as I said, it is an instinct. It is almost attached to our DNA, and we have to introduce children early to their natural proclivity to teach and understand through story. Now, the purpose of this talk this morning is fostering creativity. There's a very simple answer if we understand if it's an instinct. And I tell my students this all the time when it comes to writing. You have to become more self-aware creatives. You have to know that you are engaging in story at every moment of your lives. When you go and you sit with your friends and your family, recognize that you are engaging in something that is instinctive to you, that makes you human. When you sit with your children or your grandchildren and you read them stories, recognize that it is about the very meaning of who you are, that instinct to tell stories is something that you are engaging in and passing on. If you want a more practical form, pen in hand ways to enhance that and foster that creativity, a number of people talk about journaling, and I think that's a very nice idea. But that's an insular thing. That's just for you. There has been, unfortunately, it's not around that much anymore, but there is a wonderful thing that you can engage in that takes the writing of story outside your own insular needs and sends it out. And no, I'm not asking all of you to become novelists. I've got enough competition, so just stay right where you are. What we used to do up until about 25, 30 years ago is engage with others through story, through the act of letter writing. We used to do that. We used to sit down and tell our own stories, knowing full well that we would receive back in the mail another story, and we would go back and forth. My mother just turned 87 last week, and her only means of communicating long distance is through letters. Now, I have helped her immeasurably to put those letters into email form, but even so, they read as letters. That is one way for you to foster that instinct, that natural storytelling ability. For me, obviously, I've taken it to an extreme. I live to tell stories. I live to sit down and write. And so just very briefly, I thought I would invite you in to my process in how I look at storytelling, so that perhaps you can find in what you do as storytellers, you can bring it to your daily lives. I said the most important thing that we can do is be self-aware as storytellers. I have to be self-aware in terms of two things that are mine alone, and they are yours alone as well. If anybody ever tells you that they can teach you these two things, become rather suspect of that person. There are two things that no one can ever teach you when it comes to storytelling, and that is voice and imagination. Those are yours alone, and you cannot be afraid of them. In fact, you have to confront them in a very self-aware way. For instance, I wrote a book about the first 2 weeks of the Spanish Civil War. Does anybody know when the Spanish Civil War was?
36 to 39.
We have a winner. There's always one in the crowd. There's always one. No, I know him well. That's absolutely right, 1936 to 1939. And I know what all of you are now thinking in this congregation. Oh no. I wanted to write the novel about the first 2 weeks of the Spanish Civil War, and this guy beat me to it. No, none of you had any interest in that. That is my voice. That is my imagination. You have to be honest with yourself. I write historical fiction. I find power in the past. I find lessons in the past. I think right now we would all do very well to think about the past as we move into the future. But you, as storytellers, need to do that for yourself. You have to be honest about where your imagination takes you, what voice you need, but also the responsibility that comes with following that through. And why is it a responsibility? And this finally brings me back to that third element that the theologians and the philosophers have talked about, empathy. As much as I look to the past to make people understand their own present, I in fact write because I have anxieties about the world, and the only way that I can work through those anxieties is on the page. But the central reason that I write my novels is to teach people empathy. I ask them to set themselves aside for 300 or 400 pages and simply dive into a world where they have to confront and live, a world that is filled with choices, hopes, despair, joys that are not their own. And if they can do that for 400 pages, then when they step away from the novel, they can bring that sense of empathy to the world. At a time when empathy in our social, cultural, and political discourse is sadly lacking, we need each of us to step back and to lean into our instinct as storytellers. We need to lean into the fostering of that personal creativity to bring empathy to the engagement we have with others. If we can do that, then we can change the world entire. Thank you very much.
Please rise as you are willing and able and turn in your gray hymnals to number 108. My Life Flows On in Endless Song, 108. Together, we have enjoyed the beauty and warmth of stories of this flame and of this special community. As our chalice flame is extinguished this morning, we can still remember that its glow is carried within us. We can use our inner lights and this flame to kindle new sparks throughout our lives and in the world. May the spirit of peace and togetherness bless your lives.